What was once highly respected that is now a complete joke? McAfee antivirus. All the org antivirus software, really. I parked my truck in a sketchy area of downtown once, and this homeless guy came up to me and said, for $20 he'll watch my truck and make sure nothing happens to it. I gave him the $20 because I think he was implying for $20 he wouldn't break into it. That's McAfee antivirus today. The History Channel, the Learning Channel, Misty. I remember when Bravo used to air operas. Jack Donaghy. Class Now, unofficially, stands for Terrible Life Choices, or with a few of their stars, touching little children. The History Channel should be renamed the Conspiracy Channel. Food Network too. It used to be educational and fun, now it's just non-stop competition. History Channel never even seems to have actually documentaries on anymore. When I look now, maybe one Hitler's Bodyguard episode a day, but last few times I looked, it had loads of renovation series on TV DJ. I don't know the last time I watched TV that wasn't my parents already watching something and me watching with them to spend time with them. It's just all shit on every channel. Sears. I worked there up until they were bought by Carmart. It was a great job, making $25 a selling vacuums and some appliances. Commissions got cut and I was making minimum wage less than a year after they were acquired. Didn't make that much again at any job until after college. They used to sell kit homes. The food pyramid. How dare you? I am enjoying 11 servings of bread every day, thank you very much. True. Found out the Canadian Food Guide was originally created as a rationing plan during World War I. Bank managers. They used to have serious power in local communities. Now they have to be glorified customer service reps a lot of the time. I'm in banking, and I've never really thought about it that way, but it's so true. This is how I pictured banks and bank personnel through media representation. Most banks I walk into are sad-looking establishments, about as prevalent as a McDonald's. FICO scores basically automated the main job of a bank manager. So much of it used to be attempting to make judgment calls on loans based on available information, a lot of which required being very invested in their community. Then we turned it into a nationally tracked scoring system and rendered bank managers irrelevant outside of the usual management that any office business needs. They are now no different than a floor manager at Costco. People are going to reflexively deny its initial popularity, but Facebook. It even used its exclusivity as its primary marketing tool during its initial launch only for colleges. I remember the mass exodus from MySpace to Facebook and me not wanting to do it because I liked my little enclaves over my text and my overly edgy dark themes over my text and my overly edgy dark themes with music playing from bands so unknown that even I've forgotten them now. But then we all got FB and it became so big I kept trying to get my dad on it and he refused because of safety reasons and privacy. I thought he was weird back then and my sisters even made him a profile that he had them take down. Then about 8 years ago, he made an account. Now his entire life is consumed by endlessly scrolling through FB, reposting old memes and signing up for every online offer there is. It's like he did a 180 on his security stance about the time I actually started to understand it. There was a period of time when Facebook was the best way for college students to interact with other college students online, which sounds insane now, but was actually true in its early years. Rip the Facebook, come 2005, 2010. Craftsman Tools. OG Craftsman Tools was something else. After he died a few years ago, I inherited my father's tool collection, most of which he had inherited from my grandfather in the 70s. Those tools are so much better than anything I've bought for myself. Superior quality. Former Lowe's employee here. Craftsman is far and away the brand of tools that get returned the most due to them malfunctioning or breaking. It's crazy because my dad still has some Craftsman stuff from when it was a Sears brand, and they work great. Shipped manufacturing to China, but didn't lower the price. Glad I bought all my stuff when it was still user made, while I was actually working at Sears. I would almost rather buy something from Harbor Freight before I buy anything Craftsman nowadays. Same quality at a way cheaper price. BlackBerry, Rim. Dr. Martens boots. A British institution, you bought a pair, they lasted for years. Alas, private equity got involved, manufacturing was sent offshore, and the quality went down like a submarine. You are better off buying a pair of boots from the company that used to make them for dem than a genuine pair of dames nowadays. Their quality is a shadow of what it once was. Landline telephones. The house phone used to be a vital link to the outside world. It's how you talk to friends and family far away, interact with businesses, call for help in an emergency, etc. But once junk calls were allowed to spiral completely out of control, the phone became a nuisance. As someone I saw said a while back, a Gen Z person would sooner jump on a live grenade than accept an incoming call from an unknown number. And that's in the context of mobile phones, which don't get nearly as much spam. Wired phones are almost completely useless today. Hobbies. I am a hobbyist musician and will never try to make money off of my music. I simply enjoy creating it with zero expectation. Hustle culture ruined a lot of that because now every time I share my music with people, it turns into a conversation about monetization or how I'm wasting my time on something. It's hard to even find like-minded people who want to collaborate without it turning into some big thing. Time enjoyed is not time wasted. Edit. Wow, this blew up. Thanks for the replies. Keep doing what you love. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there, but don't be pressured to do something you don't want to do. The world is full of people who want what you have. Trust me, don't let them take it if it's taking a chunk of you with it. The word amateur is derived from the Latin word amator, meaning lover. It's someone who does what they do for the love of it. Sadly now, people use it as an insult. I want to sell my art because I want my art to live in a stranger's house, but I don't want them to think it's so cheap they can just throw it away. I want it to last a long time. So I figure if someone pays money for it, they'll hold on to it longer and maybe try to sell gifted to someone else when they're done with it. Sure, the cash would be nice too, but it's a means to an end. But when some of my family members and co-workers tell me I should be selling my art, I feel like they're only thinking of the money. I feel it's a case of exploiting the art who's empowering it. It's like the difference between selling puppies to put them into good homes and selling them for profit. I feel this one. I crochet and people are always trying to talk me into selling stuff on Etsy. Most people won't even pay enough to cover materials. I made a really nice blanket for about $50 worth of yarn and 100 hours of labor. Not even worth my time to try to sell it. Wells Fargo. Modern Wells Fargo is not the same as stagecoach driving, Wild West Wells Fargo. Norwest Bank acquired real Wells Fargo in the late 90s, but kept the Wells Fargo name as it had better brand recognition. All of the recent scandals have occurred since the takeover in the bank formerly known as Norwest. Wells Fargo took over the bank where I had my first ever account. I'll always remember you, Wachovia. I've worked in banking for over 20 years, most of it in back office functions, dealing with mortgage compliance. I spent stints with BofA and Wells Fargo. Both had their major issues. Bobars came mostly from being too big and lacking clear lines of leadership. So policies would be put in place because someone in leadership thought it would be easier or more scalable, etc. And then we'd fall on our face because we couldn't keep up with regs and would have to scrap it to change it. Wells Fargo, on the other hand, leadership had the same challenges of being too big, etc. But the culture was to wring every last cent they could out of a customer. Decisions were made specifically to screw the customer and get all they could from them. Wells is an evil company, and every time I see them get fined, which is pretty frequently, I smile because I know they deserve it. Bill Cosby. A comedian who once prided himself on only using clean comedy became the inspiration and subject of 1,000 jokes on, rape. It really sucks as my parents had his records. We grew up listening and quoting them. I still do, but now I occasionally sigh and feel disappointed. I can't say oops because the skit is embedded into my brain. Dentist. Oops patient. What do you mean, oops? I'm a plumber. I know what it means when I say oops. Quora, before it turned into the new Yahoo Answer. The Guinness Book of World Records, once a well-established and professional collection of every impressive human feat, now a quick ego boost for rich kids that have barely enough talent to balance an egg on their forehead for 15 seconds on a July afternoon at exactly 11:55, and while wearing a Hello Kitty Wincy. The Book of Records used to be feats of amazing skill and talent. Now it has records like who can put the most clothespins on their faces. All you have to do to beat them is have a bigger face. Bill Bailey. I was watching an Uppenbergei video on Tommy Tallarico, another one for the once respected now joke pile. And in it, he pointed out how the company basically says you can have a world record if you can buy it. And since it costs 10,000 smackers just to get their article there, not incurring hotel costs and all the jazz, pretty much only their rich can hold W world record. Hasn't it been proven to be a big money sham anyway? Where people can pay to have a world record, even if they are an autocratic country like Turkmenistan? I think John Oliver did a dit on them and how great they are for image washing. Ellen. One of the funniest things ever will always be that little Ellen Kids show being announced literally the same year as her mistreatment of backstage co-workers coming out. This was after it was announced that 3 seasons had been made and 4 seasons were in production. They half-heartedly released the 2nd season on a streamer service, and to date, there's never been any distribution of that 3rd season that finished production. Odds are, it'll end up lost media a few years from now as it rots in the production company's archives, and it'll be the funniest thing ever. We are a family here, said by anyone who isn't your family. Nobody in my family would brag about us being a family. News anchor people. The Walking Dead, pretty sure it went from on show on TV to on life support after the 4th season. Frank Darabont directed the 1st season. He's the same guy who directed The Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile. Anyway, they ended up firing him due to budget disagreements. AMC wanted him to reduce the episode budgets while producing more episodes. They also ended up firing some of the actors who sided with Frank. Kind of a shame, because I think the 1st season was amazing. The Office of Prime Minister in the UK government. It's been a clown show for at least 6 years. Apologies if this has been mentioned, but my husband, who is 15 years older than me, told me that he remembers when Bravo was a network that focused on arts, educational programming, and indie film. Blizzard, the video game company. There is no Blizzard anymore. Only Activision wearing Blizzard's corpse as a skin suit. I would say more like you know, back in the day when they would actually sell us full game. Journalists, and no, this isn't some right-wing fake news thing. Consumerism has turned hard, hitting journalism into clickbait bullshit because that's the only way they can turn a profit anymore. There's still real journalists out there, but no new ones are being born. Very sad. So-and-so tweeted such and such is the laziest news writing ever. Honestly, I feel like in the past 6 years, especially in the past 2 to 3 years since the pandemic, people as a whole of all backgrounds, ethnicities, political views, etc., have had a massive decline in trust and faith in many societal institutions and perceived people of power and prestige as well as each other as human beings. This is a major part of what's leading to our world seeming so much more fractured and unstable, and I think it's only going to get worse. In antiquity, the collapse of institutions and confidence in politics went along with a switch from republic to empire. People who lived in the time of Augustus did not even realize it at the time. They still were citizens of the Roman Republic, Skook, the Senate, and people of Rome. It took a while for them to realize things had changed. I fear the same is upon us, and in thousands of years, when they read the decline and fall of the American empire, they will read of the early 21st century the same way we read of the early 1st century. At that point, democracy was already gone, but few realized it. Working in the educational system. Being a teacher still sounds worthy of respect, but working as one is a joke. Kids are free to do whatever they want. You're barely allowed to punish bad behavior in any way. School politics stop from changing anything. Parents always blame you. I feel so bad for teachers. Their job is one of the most important in our entire society, yet they get paid scraps and saddled with all kinds of bullshit from politicians. Many of mine worked incredibly hard and genuinely loved their jobs, but you could tell they were exhausted. And the schools I went to were damn good as far as public schools go, and they still struggled with funding. I can't even imagine what goes on. I can't even imagine what goes off ones. Or even the same schools currently. My state's governor has been cutting education funding like no tomorrow. In my wife's district, teachers can't, well, she can because she has the training, restrain students who are destroying their room or threatening other students unless death is likely to occur. I would be much less bothered by this if she also didn't pay for all the stuff in her classroom out of pocket. I blame administrations for throwing teachers under the bus instead of backing them up. It's all an extension of the business world doing that with frontline employees. Management throws all the ground-level folks under the bus to appease customers, even if they're being completely ridiculous, because we think we have to make everyone happy. As a high school teacher, I can confirm this 100. We're not allowed to tell kids to put their phones away, for fuck's sake, because it could be construed as hostile. The name Nimrod in ancient Rome, Nimrod, was a mighty hunter, and now it means fool or incompetent, because Bug Bunny called Elmer Fudd and Nimrod sarcastically, and the audience didn't catch the sarcasm, or reference, or both. Edit. As many have pointed out, Nimrod is in the Bible, and some are suggesting the name is older than that, so I'm striking the Roman reference. It was actually Daffy that calls Elmer, this in what makes Daffy Duck. Bugs has only used Nimrod in reference to Yosemite Sam. There does seem to be a Mandela effect going on, though BCA a lot of people did to bugs. It's funny how both of the details of your post are wrong, but you still get the point across. Nimrod was a biblical name from the Old Testament. It was not Roman, and it was Daffy that calls Elmer Nimrod, not Bud. It's a great piece of classical music by Edward Elgar as well, also an album by Green Day. Most celebrities, more like the very idea of celebrity. Staying at a job out of loyalty. You stay loyal to jobs that take care of you. Shit wages, no benefits, and no human decency is where you expect to begin. But if there's zero progress since the day you started, you need to get foe unless you can admit you're not worth more than where you're at. More like companies being loyal to employees, providing a good wage, raises, benefits, pensions, etc. Why should employees stay out of loyalty when companies aren't loyal or acting in their best interest? It's a job. The entire idea of loyalty to a job is a joke. Netflix originals? Honestly, House of Cards showed they could challenge Hebo for level of quality. Now they have a reputation for buying good scripts and pulling the plug before the shows get too expensive. The American presidency does not hold the same esteem it once did. When I was a boy, I was told that anybody could become president. I'm beginning to believe it. Clarence Darrow. OSHA, not even their fault either. There's been so much lobbying against them that the red tape is so insane that they can't effectively regulate workers' exposure to toxic chemicals. The Russian military. How do you stop a Russian tank? Shoot the soldiers pushing it. Healthcare. I've been in it 20 years, it's changed so much. It's a joke. I'm in USA, so it's just gotten more corporate. More bullshit every day, I swear. They'll hire a dozen admins, but then cut those providing patient care and wonder why the wait time is 6 hours. Kevin Spacey.